This is an absolute robbery for the Cincinnati Bengals as a bombshell new report has dropped surrounding a perfect trade for this Bengals team. I'm going to break down what this report is and discuss what it means going forward. But not only that, some huge updates and more moves being made ahead of a crucial game tomorrow afternoon. A ton to go over on this episode, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the video. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button, folks. You guys have been absolute beasts with the support. It truly means the world to me and Isaac over here as we are on the road approaching closer and closer that goal of 5,000 subscribers and the bigger goal of 10,000 subscribers. Folks, a lot to go over today, and we're going to be diving into some trade talks. The deadline is just a few days away, 2 days away from tomorrow, so 3 days away from today, and things are really starting to pick up here. And a new report has dropped from ESPN and, of course, others, revealing an NFC defensive back that has been named as the Bengals' best fit ahead of the trade deadline. Possible path to more secondary talent. And Walder, a writer at ESPN, wrote, the best fit for the Bengals is Seahawks cornerback Woolen. Last year, Notre Dame played more man coverage than any other FBS team under coordinator Al Golden, who is now with Cincinnati, and they have slightly leaned more towards zone coverage, but adding Woolen will allow Golden to play more man coverage, of course, pairing him with young stud DJ Turner. And of course, this would be a trade, and we'll dive into exactly who it's for, but Woolen is in the final year of his rookie contract and could be a low-risk way to add some kind of talent to boost the defense, and he's not having a good year thus far. So folks, I'm going to dive into all of this, but first of all, I love this move for a couple of reasons, and it's a good point about Al Golden. He has not had the best start here in Cincinnati following taking over from our previous defensive coordinator. However, at the same time, if you can add a guy like Woolen, who, yes, he's having a pretty bad year, but I believe he made the Pro Bowl one year, and he's a pretty, he has upside. It could make a ton of sense. And again, especially, we think to teams like within our division, like the Steelers and teams like that, they got their, in theory, elite cornerbacks. They haven't been this year, but guys like Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, so that Mike Tomlin can play man coverage and then blitz more. The Bengals, in theory, I'm sure want to not copy the Steelers defensively necessarily, but play more man coverage, and getting a guy like Woolen would just allow them to get some more defensive help. You can see in the last paragraph, it's hard to imagine things would get a whole lot better for that unit if no one gets added, even though, of course, it's seeming like they're going to keep Trey Hendrickson despite some more reports recently. But you can see here, he was Defensive Rookie of the Year third voting, and he made a Pro Bowl in his rookie year with 6 interceptions. And, of course, he's on a Seahawks team now where at age 26, he has not had a great year. And you can start to see his, playing time diminish a little bit. Played 6 of the 8 games thus far. But when you're looking at it from the perspective of the Bengals, these are the type of moves you should be looking to make. Buy low moves and without having to give up a ton of assets. Someone that if he really finds his footing under Al Golden, who's familiar with not necessarily, NFL cornerbacks at this level, but, back in college when he coached, he could probably get the best out of him, or at least try to get a little bit more. And I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Al Golden yet because of the year they've had and all these things. Injuries are a part of it. Scheming's a part of it, but they'll figure it out, hopefully. It's been one of the worst defenses even before Al Golden's time. But regardless of that, you could maybe look at packaging a deal for Woolen. Now, he also goes on to say if they'd beaten the Jets the way they should have Sunday, the Bengals would be 500 and hitting the gas pedal. But at this point, they're potentially in limbo. Trading away edge rusher Trey Hendrickson is the popular theory, but I don't get the sense they're considering it. And of course, we traded for Joe Flacco already. Most people are saying the Bengals never trade. They just traded for Joe Flacco. So maybe this is a new leaf. Tobin is under pressure. Zach Taylor is under pressure. Al Golden's under pressure. Everyone is under pressure. Joe Flacco is under pressure right now to win this weekend, even though, not a ton of pressure. But we also have Cam Taylor-Britt, who there's been reports about him wanting out. There's been reports about the Bengals trading him. And this can make a ton of sense. If you do a swap of Cam Taylor-Britt, who did not have a great game, last game, and fans are starting to be at their wits' end with him because of his inability to tackle, his poor penalties. The Bengals going to get a 26-year-old corner on the final year might make a lot of sense. Woolen is a good example of what the Bengals should probably be doing at the deadline, which is what I'm saying here and is why the report makes sense. You go out, you get somebody who's young, yes, at the end of their contract, but has high upside. Woolen won a Pro Bowl in his rookie year. He has upside to be really good. And you can trade maybe a guy like Cam Taylor-Britt and just do a swap. The Seahawks get a new, fresh face, and then the Bengals get a new, fresh face. And I think it's something that would be a robbery for the Bengals without actually being without having to give up a ton of assets. Obviously, last year started 14 of the 15 games, and previous to that, he was basically an every single day cornerback. And this is a team that struggled defensively. They struggled at the cornerback position. You have Dax Hill, you have some guys, but can go out and, you have an ability to make a move to get a better defensive player. And we all know this team does not need offensive help necessarily. They do not need to go out and get some superstar wide receiver like a lot of teams are going for, most notably the Steelers. Like we know they're heavily on wide receivers. If you want to kind of take a cautious yet still fairly aggressive approach, depending what happens tomorrow. If they lose tomorrow, there's a good chance they trade off Trey Hendrickson. But if they win tomorrow, I'm not going to say a good chance, but there's a chance that they trade Trey Hendrickson if they lose tomorrow because the playoffs are all but done at that point. Even though I would still believe over here on the channel, we know Logan Wilson requested a trade. He's obviously not a cornerback. You can have a DJ Turner, Reek Woolen tandem. And yes, Reek has not been good this year, but that could be a young duo that you can really potentially extend Reek Woolen if he does well under Al Golden and really have a superstar tandem in the future. And it's something that I think it's worth taking a shot on, especially because let me know down below what you guys think about it. I'm done with the Cam Taylor Britt experience personally. Yes, they're going to keep playing him. They're obviously very weak at the position right now, but I like it. I like the move a lot. And let me know down below what your thoughts are. A few other updates within this article here. A key position in need for them is actually guard as well. We'll have a video on that. Jalen Rivers, their 5th round rookie, ranked second to last among qualified players at his position of blocking. It's been bad, right? Obviously, guard is a position of need for the Bengals. A bit harder to go out and get a superstar guard. I mean, teams that have good guards, they lock them up and they lock them up early. And then, of course, who could be on the move? Logan Wilson. I think Logan Wilson is going to be the most likely player to get traded, but I also think the Bengals are not just going to stand still assuming they win Sunday, right? Logan Wilson, I believe, is out tomorrow, or at least was questionable tomorrow. I would try to probably move off of Logan Wilson if you can get something back. But at the same time, if you can't get anything back, don't give him away for free. Yes, he is being a bit of a diva, requesting a trade, went on a podcast and gave the reason why. Not a huge fan of him right now or anymore, rather. But you cannot just give up assets at this point of the year, and especially at this point of the Bengals, point of construction of this roster, I guess. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on all this. It's a very interesting one. Their defense is in shambles. It's one of the worst defenses in the league. Make a move, get off of Cam Taylor Britt, change up something because at this point it can't get any worse. Now, speaking of worse, you can see here, Trey Hendrickson has officially been listed as doubtful in the Bengals' final report leading up to the game tomorrow. He's recovering from a hip injury that sidelined him 2 weeks ago. So I can't imagine Trey Hendrickson is going to play. You're going to be without Trey Hendrickson, which means everybody else is going to step up. Of course, I covered the moves in the channel. They're calling up some other players as well. You can see there on the right, Brian Asamoah II. He has officially also been called up. So that's a move that they did make. He's been activated rather to the squad alongside Joe Giles Harris to replace guys like Logan Wilson and of course, Oren Burks as well. But Brian Asamoah, he recently played in the NFL and he was half decent, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But no Trey Hendrickson, which of course gives the Bears a good opportunity. You can see here for starters, Caleb Williams should have more time than he's accustomed to. It's probably going to be the case, especially if they're in zone and not man. I know the Ravens defense wasn't lighting up the stat sheet, but there were signs they turned a corner. Obviously talking about the Bears there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens against the Bears. Obviously having, you can see at the top, Hendrickson's 4 sacks are twice as many as Joseph Ossai, and no one else in their defense has taken opposing quarterbacks down more than 1.5 times this year. It's been a bad defense for the Bengals. Let me know down below what your thoughts are, folks. Things are getting interesting here. Obviously, it's rough to not have Trey Hendrickson, your sack leader by far, and he's been hurt. But I think this team can do it, and if there's any team that can win tomorrow, it'll be the Bengals. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, Joe Flacco can go out and cook.